Well, we had a couple of requests, and I think the big request was for convention and liquidators photos. So I guess I'll start with convention photos and things that led up to conventions. Here I am at Monster Mania with George A. Romero, who I sat down and bullshitted with after skirting his manager and got a free autograph because why the fuck should we pay for shit like that? At the same show, I ran into Lance Hendrickson coming out from smoking, and I said, "Lance, can I get a picture with you?" And he goes, "Anything for a fellow New Yorker." He was a cool guy. And here's something legendary. This is our suite party, and as you can see, we have this huge blunt rolled, and we have it down for size next to a regular joint. So that little thing was probably a good 6-7 inches long and filled with about a quarter ounce of really good weed. And we smoked it till like 4 o'clock in the morning. This one, I believe, was at Cinema Wasteland, where Madman Pondo was a guest at one point. And, of course, I marked out for him, and he's a crazy bastard, and we still keep in touch. This one is at an early chiller, and I'm with Ginger Lynn, another sweetheart I keep running into all over the place during my life, seems. Okay, here is the fantastic Ox Baker and Jonathan the Animal Zukowski, the keeper of the gate at Chiller since its inception. Ox was back for I think Ox showed up like maybe 3 or 4 times at Chiller. Ox was always a lot of fun. And here's the bad guy panel at Chiller. Unfortunately, Robert Zadar, David Hess, Gunnar Hansen, and William Smith are no longer with us. But this was really a little kick-ass deal here with all the bad guys in one spot. This was at the Rothman Center, maybe the 3rd or 4th show. Here I am hanging out in the back with Johnny Legend. Another cool lady from Beast of Blood, Celeste Jarnell. Vernon Wells, another cool guy. I think I picked him up at the airport a couple times. He said, I think the 3rd time he came in, he looked at me and goes, "Is that piece of shit van of yours still running?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it is." My old buddy Sid Haig, this is at Monster Mania. We were hanging out and stuff. I really miss Sid, what an icon. Just sad that he's not here anymore. This was at an early chiller at the Rothman Center in Teaneck, and this was the first time that Linnea, Michelle, and Brink were out together, and we pulled this gag photo where I actually had hair on my head. Got to switch this one up. That's Coffin Joe. First time I met Coffin Joe, and the only time he came out for Chiller. And that was, again, at the Rothman Center, I believe. Well, spent a wonderful weekend in this lady's presence, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. This is the show that sort of put Chiller right over the top. Her line was endless all weekend, and I wound up being her security for the whole weekend, too. Another Monster Mania one, Michael Berryman, Madman Pondo, and me. This was at a pinup, I think a Glamour Con or something like that. Yes, that is Linda Lovelace, and yes, I was hanging out with her, and yes, she was wearing my t-shirt. The late, great Balls Mahoney. I got a whole bunch of these ECW guys into Chiller to sign some pictures right after ECW folded up so they could make some cash. This wasn't at Chiller. This was at a wrestling convention, and there's a whole backstory to this, which I can't go into, because when I walked into the place, New Jack was screaming at some guy about, this guy must have said, "Well, I know Ron Simmons." And he said, "Oh, you know Ron Simmons? How many other insert N-word do you know, you howdy-doody looking motherfucker?" So I cracked up, Spike Dudley cracked up, and I said to his handler, Eric Sims, "I want to get a picture with him, but I ain't going to pay you." So that's what happened. Another situation. This was the Elvira weekend. Somebody came up to me and said, there's 3 people in the parking lot that want to talk to you. And I'm thinking, okay, this is Sunday morning. How drunk did I get Saturday night and who did I piss off? Gangrel, who was the Vampire Warrior back then, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and Luna Vachon. They just wanted to come in and sign some autographs. So a buddy of mine had a table, and he was a complete mark for wrestlers, so they were on his table. And then Luna asked me if I could introduce her to Elvira, and I said, I'll see what I could do. So when I was taking Elvira up to do her signing in the elevator, I said, how would you like to meet Luna Vachon? And she turned around and she goes, what's a Luna Vachon? I said, trust me, you'll like this. So I got him up there, and it was a Kodak moment. I'm sorry I didn't have a camera. Ingrid Pitt and Veronica Carlson. This was another one at the Rothman Center, an early show. I had a lot more color in my hair, so to speak. This is another shot of the ECW crew that came in. Jack Victory on my left and Louis Dangerously on my right, a.k.a. Sign Guy Dudley, before they changed his gimmick. Okay, this is at Monster Mania, and those are the Babysitter Twins from Planet Terror. And the backstory is here that one of them asked me for a cigarette, and I go, here, it's my last one. And they looked at me and said, I can't take your last one. I says, you don't understand. It's my last one. That's where I quit smoking. Tiffany Shepis and Crackhead Bob from the Howard Stern Show. He was there twice, I believe. Tora Santana, and yes, she basically is lifting me off the ground by my neck. I don't know how old she was here, but she was strong and pretty formidable. Really nice lady, though. The immortal William Smith. What a great career he had. Sadly, I believe he passed away. I think it was last year or a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. I don't know, but it was just great to actually meet this guy. Another icon from the AIP days, Mel Wells, who was also a director and appeared in a lot of Corman stuff, Attack of the Crab Monsters and Little Shop of Horrors and all that stuff. Ox Baker at the first Horror-thon. Ox is smoking a pipe, and we weren't supposed to smoke pipes then, so I was asked by the promoter to walk around and tell people they can't smoke, and then I saw Ox lighting up a pipe, and I said to his handler, Big Andy, I says, Andy, nobody's supposed to smoke in here. Then I saw his eyebrow go up. I said, don't worry, Ox, I'll cover for you, and then he grabbed me and pulled me over for the picture. You're my buddy. Another legend, Abdullah the Butcher, a guy who basically scared the shit out of me, but turned out to be a sweetheart of a guy, and I got thrown around the room by him because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing when we did an angle. Tim Thomerson. I loved him. I picked him up at the airport. He was completely smashed. We were driving around. This picture was actually taken at 4:30 in the morning in the bar at the, I think it was, what the hell was whatever the hotel was in Secaucus. We had a great time. I wish they brought him back. Another legend, Beverly Garland. She was in the early days of Chiller, too. What a sweetheart of a lady. And the king of men, classy Freddie Blassie. I think he just had open heart surgery at this point, but again, great to meet a legend. You saw him on TV just every weekend. The Hollywood fashion plate, classy Freddie Blassie. And Cactus Jack. There's a backstory to this, too. He had just left WCW and was headed to ECW, and I knew somebody who knew him, and I got him into Chiller for, I think, 4 or 5 hours before he left for Las Vegas. Here's Crackhead Bob. Crackhead Bob from the Howard Stern Show. I guess one of the, the Whack Pack or whatever. I don't think he lasted too long, to be honest with you. Okay, now when I met Cactus Jack, he invited me and my friend Lou Garcia up for a TV taping in ECW in Hamburg, Pennsylvania, and we had third row seats. Third row only lasted for like 2 matches. Somehow I got this shot because this was not televised and not filmed. This was Sabu versus Cactus Jack, Falls Count Anywhere in Hamburg, and Sabu got pinned. That's why they didn't film it. But somehow I managed to get this wild shot with a really shitty camera. This is when I was promoting Chiller, and this is where my flea market was, in front of Discount Tool and Hardware, in front of the Rockaway Marketplace. And I set this thing up Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for years. We're going into some other stuff too now. I think this was taken at the Chiller store in Hackensack when Tiffany did an in-store appearance. Let's see. This is my video store in the Rockaway Marketplace. As you can see, this whole thing. That's the front of it. Sign for the adult videos in the back. This was the smaller booth, actually. I started out in a real small booth. This was a medium-sized booth, and I would eventually graduate to a larger booth. Which is, here's the larger booth with my friend who I let work there when I decided to do the outdoor markets, Freddie, who unfortunately we lost him a couple of years ago too. There's my big sign, Pete the Trader's Past Midnight Video. This was before I was 42nd Street Pete. I was Pete the Trader. And there I am in Gimmick, enjoying a beverage. And you see the something weird display behind me and the mummified baby and whatever I got up there. Okay. And let's see another shot of the store here. That was pretty much the store. All kinds of crap laying around. And here is this is the outdoor flea market setup early morning. You can see I got a canopy up there. And I basically set up 3 van lengths worth of shit, most of it tape. Here's some other odds and ends. I finally met Bruno San Martino at a show down South Jersey. Sweetheart of a guy. I got an autograph from my mother because she was a huge fan, and he asked me about her and her health and stuff like that. Really, really nice guy. He was the epitome of professional wrestling at the time. Sold out the Guard more times than Elvis, and probably was one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And I got to meet La Parca as my friend Mindless Mike, who another one was no longer with us, brought him in from Mexico. Did I mess this up? Here's a shot of me at Englishtown, New Jersey at daybreak, selling stuff out of the van. Yeah, I had a weird hat and a fucking serape on. When they shot down that airliner years ago, this had to be in the 80s, I basically did this to my truck. And I drove around for months with my truck looking like this, and nobody bothered me. State troopers gave me the thumbs up. Everybody gave me the thumbs up with this. Yeah, I'm out of my fucking mind. And this is the British Bulldog's son, Davy Boy Smith Jr. I knew him as Harry Smith. That's when he first started out. You know, I think this was Pro Wrestling Elite. I think that was the name of the outfit we were doing. Him, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe. A lot of people you would recognize now, you know, started out with that. So that's what I got for you today. So we're going to have more because somebody wanted Liquidator stuff, and I found some of that too, and some Atlantic City stuff. So we'll do that next time. So until then, stay safe. Thanks for subscribing. We'll catch you on the flip side.